What's good, y'all? It's your guy Bendu, and today I'm coming at y'all with this Bari Weiss story. And as y'all know, the Israeli-Palestinian situation is still ongoing. Even though there is a ceasefire, there's still, the Israeli government is still doing fuckery. I read something the other day about how they're having clashes at the Al Aqsa Mosque again. The Sheikh Jarrah situation is still ongoing. It's in limbo, but a glimmer of hope. And honestly, something that shows the BDS movement would be damaging to Israel is that, a whole bunch of Palestinians, albeit they Arab Jews, just across the board, because Israel does the typical United States white supremacist chess move, which is divide and conquer a group of people. And when I say white supremacist, I say that because those are the people that's in charge. I'm not talking about mom and pop white people sitting at home. See, that's one thing I feel like white people don't understand when you use the word white supremacist. Like, I understand that, you're not shitting on people. You feel me? I'm not saying that you are, but there's a group of people at the top that happen to be doing that, and they happen to be white. And for not even, I was about to say decades, but shit, for like centuries, they've been targeting specifically black and brown people more so than any other race. Every now and then they'll get white people, they'll go after like Ukrainian people, shit like that. But for the most part, it's usually always black and brown people. So like, I'm not saying that to shit on the everyday Joe. I'm saying that to shit on the Bill Gateses, the fucking Jeff Bezoses, and the billionaires we don't know, the billionaires at Halliburton, Raytheon, that don't give a fuck about anybody, especially black and brown people. So, but Israel likes to play the divide and conquer card, which is something, that's something they traditionally did. They did it with the African tribes. They did it with the slaves when the African slaves did get here. They did it with the Native Americans. They did it with everybody. And if you believe in this sort of thing, they did it to the Africans that was already here in the United States. Yes, I said that. I'm one of those believers. Yes, I am. But yeah, so they did like a massive general strike over there in Palestine. So I don't know if it's Palestine or Palestine. So y'all gonna hear me go back and forth. So, but Bari Weiss, dog. But let's go ahead and get into this article, yo. Bari Weiss just went full fucking Israeli Karen, bro. She just wrote a fucking Israeli Karen manifesto. So let's go ahead and get into this bullshit. Here we go. The bad optics of fighting for your life. When it comes to Israel, memes have replaced morality. That's isn't that the same thing they said about Russiagate? Memes. It was memes that replaced the morality of the country, the sanctity. Putin took over our country with memes. I think the saying goes, if you could lose your country due to memes, I'd argue you shouldn't have had a country in the first place. I literally just made that saying up. I feel like when you say that shit, though, when you like, I hear the saying goes, and you make a saying up, you can kind of make up your own saying and just get people to repeat it, thinking it's been a saying all along, but really you created that shit. But anyway, I'm going to move on. I am writing to you from the waiting room of my fertility clinic. I'm assuming this is in Israel as well. Getting pregnant when you are gay is not so romantic. So we try to do little things to make it nice. Oh, she throws her sexuality in there too. So not only does she throw her ethnicity and religion in your face, her Jewishness in your face, she also throws in her sexuality. That's so good. Thank you. Thank you so much, Bari Weiss. So we try to do little things to make it nice. Last night I took a bath. We watched Mayor of Easttown. I don't even know what the fuck that shit is. Sound like some white woman shit. Nelly opened a bottle of red. I think she's trying to say red wine, but say it in a bougie way. Like, she opened a bottle of red. Then she grabbed my stomach and gave me a shot to trigger ovulation. I plan to take the morning off. The doctor says that stress is not good for baby making, but sitting here scrolling through my phone, looking at the tsunami of lies that have been permeated every Instagram story and every viral meme and every TikTok video and every popular Twitter account, I am weeping. Kind of like I think she cried on Bill Maher when Bill Maher didn't even say anything anti-Semitic, like, because he's, for the most part, he's for wiping out these Islamic people because he thinks Islam is the scourge of the earth and shit like that, blah blah whatever. Looking at how literally the worst crimes have been committed by people who claim to believe in the Judeo-Christian God. So I believe is Islamic people, like, they believe that characters from the Bible are prophets, but they don't believe that they're, like Allah, whatever. I don't fucking know. All these religions are bullshit. You already know how I feel about all these religions. Like literally there's more validity in me using a Captain America comic book to make an argument that the super soldier serum can be real than somebody using the Bible to make an argument that God is real. Like literally, I find it crazy. Like people, like, because I'm a huge comic book fan. Some people will literally make fun of me for still fucking with comic books at my age. You guys literally believe in fucking fairy tales. You read the Bible. That is the greatest fairy tale ever fucking written. Like literally, yo, Zack Snyder will make a slapping ass fucking Bible movie, bro. Let Zack Snyder do that shit. Do some fucking slow motion. All of it is bullshit. It's bullshit. But I'm not. We're not here to just have me. But I'm not an atheist though. Surprisingly, given my rhetoric, I'm not an atheist. I am weeping, she says. Like when she was crying on Bill Maher and shit. So it appears that standing up for the right of innocent people to protect themselves from a genocidal terrorist organization has become extremely risky to one's brand, and so lies have replaced truth, memes have replaced morality, hashtags have replaced history. And I, Bari Weiss, started my career by getting people to fuck censored, and then turned around and bitched about censorship when it came after me. I'm of course speaking about Palestine. I mean Israel. She's talking about Israel. She's not talking about Palestine, because fuck them. Fuck those poor brown people. Those this is certainly the first time. Okay, yeah. So now she's talking about the rockets that Hamas was launching. So yeah, I'm gonna link her article down below, because I just cut, because there were certain parts like it was just like dog shit writing. Things I've covered on this channel, like propaganda pieces they push, and Israeli people push that have already been debunked. So I didn't really feel the need to, since I've covered it on this channel. And then there's numerous other people that I know you got, like Jimmy Dore, Graham, Abby Martin, people that cover the Israeli-Palestine conflict on the gray zone. So I'm gonna link her full article so you guys can read it below. But here she is talking about the rockets with Hamas now. Those rockets are being launched by Palestinian Islamic Jihad and by Hamas, which has controlled the Gaza Strip since Israel unilaterally withdrew from it and forcibly evacuated every last Jewish resident from the territory in 2005. Israelis have gotten used to living life in a kind of perpetual war. On Tuesday, Nelly was on a call with a journalist in Tel Aviv, who abruptly hung up because the siren started wailing. So I guess she's not in Israel. I'm sorry about that. A friend sent a photo of his mother crouched in a bomb shelter. All okay, he said. Friends across the country told me about huddling with their crying children in safe rooms. It's fine, they insisted. Yeah. Here's what Norman Finkelstein has to say about that. And that's facts right there. Good. You don't get to just live your life and ignore these people while your government oppresses these people. This is like they want them to die. Literally, they want them to die quietly, either leave the land or die quietly, because they want to ethnically cleanse it. That's the whole point of Zionism. And what's crazy? You guys should check out the Abby Martin doc she did on Empire Files, where she gave the history of Israel. They were just gonna they were plotting. They were talking about taking multiple different. They were talking about Uganda. And a couple other places as well, where they were going to make this new state of Israel, basically go in and take people's fucking land, steal their land, more than likely genocide the people there because they viewed them as lesser than, and that's what it was. So it's insane that they don't talk about that dark history that is the foundations of your country. It's the same thing with the fucking United States. Like literally the founding father, like the fact that people will literally say this country wasn't founded upon racism when you literally had the founding fathers that owned slaves. It made that shit blows my fucking mind. Like it's insane. Like the audacity and the hypocrisy of these motherfuckers to talk about freedom when they literally are perfectly fine with stripping another human being of their freedom. Which you can make you can't make the argument, but slavery was a normal thing in terms of in the ancient times, and even going into during that time period and shit like that. But however, we supposedly, the founding fathers were supposedly the enlightened ones in a barbaric world and shit, blah blah blah, especially when it comes to the natives, the indigenous people and everything. So My whole thing is like the fact that these motherfuckers, the hypocrisy of them talking about freedom, and literally they just they didn't want to pay taxes. That's just literally what it was. That's literally what it was. And I get, being taxed unfairly, I get that. But it all boils down to taxes. Where like you're literally brutalizing these people in your care. Like George Washington, the first president of the United States, literally like had dentures made from his slaves' teeth. Yeah, these were sick fucks. So it's no different. Like this, Israel is a mini United States. The United States was built on a faulty bullshit, fucking genocidal, maniacal foundation, and Americans don't want to admit that because of what they perceive America is now, where America still has its problems, and they don't want to admit that. So, I'm not afraid to say fuck America, honestly. I like my life here. I like my life. I love my family and everything. I love my friends. But it's like, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like our country isn't dog shit, bro, in terms of how it treats us, its people, and how it treats other people around the world. So, and we exported this with Israel to the Middle East. This is certainly not the first time this has happened, but this time is different. There are more rockets being fired from Gaza than at any time in recent memory. Maybe because you attacked their mosque on the holiest fucking day in the Islamic faith, at the third holiest mosque in the fucking religion. That's literally like somebody walking into the fucking Vatican on Easter and starting to beat the shit out of everybody in that church. That's literally what it's like. But this time is different. There are more rockets being fired from God than at any time ever. Some are landing, killing or maiming Israeli civilians. The Iron Dome is astonishing, but it is imperfect, and it is the only thing standing between civilians and shrapnel. So that's another thing. Every time something, these conflicts break out, the deaths on the Palestinian side vastly outweighs the Israeli deaths. Vastly. And the Palestinians are 9 times out of 10 responding to some fuckery that the Israeli government was doing. And like nobody, and again, I bring up this example, nobody ever says anything, nobody, you look like an asshole going back saying, yo, the French shouldn't be killing Nazis like this, during when they were occupied. These are occupied people. You wouldn't be saying this to you wouldn't go back in time and say this to France or any of the places that Germany occupied during World War II. So why would you say this about these people? Oh, because they're United States backed and funded. That's why. And they line up with a lot of our leaders' bullshit religious beliefs and shit. The other thing that's different in mixed Jewish Arab cities, at least 20% of Israel's citizens are not Jewish. Riots are breaking out. In Lod, a little more than 10 miles east of Tel Aviv, synagogues and schools were set on fire, and Jewish families were evacuated by the police. Similar stories of riots are coming out of cities like Haifa and Ramla. I think that's how you say that. Today in the city of Yam, I think that's I'm trying to get it like the Lakaim. I'm trying to get it, the pronunciations and shit. I'm probably saying it dead wrong though. Israeli television captured the apparent lynching of notice how she says apparent lynching of an Arab man by a mob of Israeli Jews. Such barbarism inside the borders of Israel is a far more disturbing development than the rockets from Gaza. As the journalist Anshel Pfeiffer put it, no matter how many rockets are launched from Gaza, it's not an existential threat to Israel. Enter next scene violence is. So she says this. Why is all this happening? Let's leave aside the terrifying Arab Jewish violence roiling cities and towns inside Israel's borders, a topic worthy of its own column, which I'm in the process of commissioning. Dear God, just stop writing. The big picture reason this is happening and has been happening for decades is that Hamas and Islamic Jihad are genocidal terrorist organizations that want to wipe Israel, a country the size of New Jersey that contains the largest Jewish community on earth, off the map. Wow. That is their reason for being. It has become quite tedious to have to point this out. But if you read about the militants as they are described in the New York Times and elsewhere, you realize there's no other option. So she flat out ignores the fact. So you guys know I covered this in one of my previous videos about the Israel-Palestine situation going on. This is from The Intercept. This is by Mehdi Hassan, his bitch ass. I like he's been doing good work lately, but he acts like a bitch. And this is what he had to say. But did you know that Hamas, which is an Arabic acronym for Islamic Resistance Movement, would probably not exist today were it not for the Jewish state? That the Israelis helped turn a bunch of fringe Palestinian Islamists in the late 1970s into one of the world's most notorious militant groups, that Hamas is blowback. And I explained in the video prior, the whole blowback theory is bullshit. This is what they intended. This isn't a conspiracy theory. Listen to former Israeli officials such as Brigadier General Yitzhak Segev, who's the Israeli governor in Gaza in the early 1980s. Segev later told a New York Times reporter that he had helped finance the Palestinian Islamist movement as a counterweight to the secularist and leftist of the Palestine Liberation Organization, and the Fatah Party, led by Yasser Arafat, who himself referred to Hamas as a creature of Israel. The Israeli government gave me a budget, the retired brigadier general confessed, and the military government gives to the mosques. Hamas, to my great regret, is Israel's creation. Avner Cohen, a former Israeli religious affairs official who worked in Gaza for more than 2 decades, told the Wall Street Journal in 2009. Back in the mid-1980s, Cohen even wrote an official report to his superiors warning them not to play divide and conquer, divide and rule, in the occupied territories by backing Palestinian Islamists against Palestinian secularists. I suggest focusing our efforts on finding ways to break up this monster before this reality jumps in our face, he wrote. They didn't listen to him, and Hamas, as I explained in the 5th installment of my short film series for The Intercept on blowback, the whole blowback theory is bullshit. This is what they intended. Was the result. To be clear, first, the Israelis helped build up a militant strain of Palestinian political Islam in the form of Hamas and its Muslim Brotherhood precursors. Then the Israelis switched tack and tried to bomb, besiege, and blockade it out of existence. So that's just what it is, man. Like they use that as a fucking excuse to continue the ethnic cleansing and genocide of these people, and that's just what it is. And Bari Weiss is perfectly okay with that. She says this: you realize there's no other option than genociding these people and ethnically cleansing the land that rightfully belongs to them. She's okay with this. These are the type of people that the left likes. Little fucking censorship, fucking neo-Nazi fuckers. And when I say neo-Nazi, I mean an ideology. Take 5 minutes and read Hamas's charter. It insists that there is no solution for the Palestinian question except through jihad, and that there is no way out except by concentrating all powers and energies to face this Nazi vicious Tartar invasion. Maybe they say shit like that when you brutalize their people, you beat their mothers, their wives, their sons, daughters, and humiliate them, emasculate them. Maybe that's why they say crazy extremist shit like that. I don't know. I'm just spitballing here. If you can't stomach the whole thing, there was a part about how the Jews were behind the French Revolution, the Communist Revolution, and controlled the media. Watch this clip from last week of a senior Hamas official asking Palestinians to go out and buy 5 shekel knives to chop off Jewish heads. And she played the video in her article. You go check it out. Again, you're going to get extremist people like this when you keep hammering hard on these people like this. It creates more people like this. There was a scene in Max Blumenthal's movie where this young kid who lost his cousin to the Israeli IDF forces said he was a young kid, said when he was old enough, he's going to join the resistance. He's going to join the armed units. So y'all create these people. It's the same thing the United States does when they talk about terrorists. You create them. The results of this mess, as always, are especially bad for the Palestinians who live under Hamas rule. Casualty reports are hard to verify because Hamas controls the media, even the international press inside the Gaza Strip. So maybe that's why Israel, bombed the fucking press building with no evidence that Hamas was even in there, because they control the media. Maybe that's why, journalists are getting canceled and getting fired from their jobs for being pro-Palestine in their past, not even bringing it into their journalism, but literally there was a journalist for the Associated Press that recently got in this. It's even funnier that it's the Associated Press, but they fired her for comments she made in her past about Palestine being, you know, about her being pro-Palestine and everything in her college youth, and she attended like protests and all that. But her beat is not Israel Palestine, you know, it's not the conflict. So I don't see anything wrong with it, even if she was still exposing those views today. But the fact of the matter is that, you know, this whole notion that, you know, they control the media, like the Palestinians and Hamas control the media, is bullshit, because they got to go to outlets like the Gray Zone to get their actual story out. They have to go to people like Abby Martin, you know, and people like Jimmy Dore are the ones that bring people like Max Blumenthal, Dan Cohen, Abby Martin, Anya Parampel, Aaron Matei. Like, they're not like prominent fucking journalists. They get shitted on and smeared as being you know, state affiliated with like China or Russia, you know. Oh, they're a propaganda arm of Hamas, da da da. So it's like they're literally relying on these like independent media outlets to really get their stories out there, because the mainstream media doesn't give a fuck, because they're paid off by the Israeli government. That's just what it is. Like, AIPAC has a very strong arm here in the United States across the political world. Like, they probably, not even probably, that it's more than likely why Bill Clinton won the election in '92. Was because Bush Sr. decided to, hey, he said, you know, you guys don't have to make a deal with the Palestinians, but you at least have to sit down with them. And just of him saying that lost him his second term as president, which I don't mind that, but it also gave us bullshitting as Bill Clinton. So, but yeah, so that whole like insinuation, like, she doesn't give a fuck about these people. She doesn't care. She really doesn't. But it appears that more than 50 Palestinians have been killed. That's not true. It's over like 200 that have been killed. Some of these people are entirely innocent non-combatants, including children. Wow, maybe you should tell your fucking government to stop. This is an unspeakable, or pressure your government to stop this. This is an unspeakable tragedy. It is also one of the unavoidable burdens of political power, of Zionism's dream turned into reality of self-determination. And they always tell you what it is. Always, all fucking ways. Genociding these people, ethnically cleansing these people is necessary for Zionism's dream to become a reality. And I would like to say here that there are Jews that don't agree with Zionism. I've seen them at the protests and shit like that. So there are Jews that don't agree with it. Obviously, people like Max Blumenthal, Aaron Matei, Dan Cohen. They actually recently, Gray Zone did a panel with Aaron Matei's dad and Roger Waters. So that was a really dope conversation. As you may have gathered, this complicated truth about a tiny country surrounded by enemies making hard decisions about how to protect its citizens doesn't sell. Yeah, you're absolutely right. When you still continue to shoot rockets into Syria unprovoked. Yeah. Hamas, its paymasters in Iran, and their allies in the Western press note as well, and are skilled in exploiting every piece of bad news about Israel's actions that they can to promote the narrative. I don't know what fucking press what Western press you think has Iran's back. This is why I called it a fucking manifesto, dog. She's like going full Karen right now. The narrative holds that all Hamas's violence is the justified reaction to the original sin of Israel's existence. That if Israel only withdrew to the 1967 borders, if only Israel abandoned settlements in the West Bank, if only Israel split Jerusalem in half, and so on and so forth, Hamas would cease launching rockets aimed at Israeli homes and schools. Yeah, so this is the article from CBS. The United Nations Commission for Human Rights has called the forced removal of Palestinian families a potential war crime. Israeli officials have called it a real estate dispute between private parties. Since Israel was founded in 1948, wars and Israeli settlement construction have led to the displacement of some 5 million Palestinians, according to UN estimates. The situation over the Jewish settlers' bid to expand into more areas by pushing Palestinians out cuts right to the heart of the wider conflict. Who has the right to what piece of land? So they like the UN that set all this in motion. The UN at the behest of the United States and the United Kingdom at the time set all this in motion is telling you that this is bullshit and this is wrong. Hamas would cease launching rockets aimed at Israeli homes and schools. Blah blah blah. The narrative, literally, these motherfuckers. Israel targets schools and homes, women, children. They don't care. The narrative insists that Israel is not just an oppressive force, but the last standing bastion of colonialism in the Middle East, which it is. Well, it's not the last, because basically, you know, Saudi Arabia is a colonial state that's allowed to do with it whatever the fuck it wants. So, as soon as they turn on the U.S., they're not going to be around longer. So they're basically a colonial state as well. White interlopers in a foreign land squatting on a rightful territory of brown people. Israelis are baby killers. They are racist. They are supremacists and Zionists. What are we? We are the facilitators of all this evil. Never mind the fact that most Israeli Jews are not of Eastern European descent, but are from the Middle East and North Africa. That makes it even worse if that's the case, that you're genociding people that look just like you. That's even fucking worse. The history of Israel, despite what facile activists would have you believe, is not color coded. See, the thing is though that they're literally kicking people off lands, like Aaron Mate's dad, Gabor Mate was talking about this. Like, a Jewish person from the United States, the UK, wherever it is, and whatever majority white society can literally go to Israel and claim citizenship that same day, whereas a Palestinian who was born there, raised there before the Israelis got there and shit like that, like, are not allowed to. So that on its face is bullshit. Never mind the fact that Zionism flourished in defiance of imperial British and in an earlier era Ottoman rulers. Wow, it's kind of funny how the British actually fucking set you up in your nice little crib that you're in now, but okay. Even the smartest celebrities are getting in on the action. Yeah, Trevor Noah, that's such a smart celebrity. Smart and celebrity should never be used in the same word. Trevor Noah weighed in with this gem. I just want to ask an honest question here. If you are in a fight where the other person cannot beat you, how much should you retaliate when they try to hurt you? Just so we have this straight, a country should accept a terrorist group, and this is Bari Weiss saying this, should accept a terrorist group launching deadly rockets at its civilian population because a comedian thinks that the terror group won't win. No, because you're an occupying state that is oppressing those people. And Norman Finkelstein, the direct son of Holocaust survivors, implores this. He's happy they're doing this. So I'm going to listen to him. If there was no Iron Dome and more Israelis were killed by Hamas, would it be okay with the noted military strategist Trevor Noah for Israel to try to stop the rocket attacks? How many dead Israelis are necessary for a response to be okay? Did anyone have the temerity to tell America that we shouldn't go after the Taliban or hunt Osama bin Laden after 9/11 because they had no realistic chance of destroying America? No. But I would say that, hey, maybe if America didn't fund Osama bin Laden in the 80s and spread all this jihadist, Wahhabist, Islamic thought around the Middle East, during the late 70s and 80s and all that bullshit, we wouldn't have gotten Osama bin Laden. So how about we do that, But of course she doesn't bring that up. She frames it through the American imperialist framework, and that says a lot. For the past few years, leaders within the American Jewish community have been deeply worried about whether the Democratic Party, with the wind now in the sails of the squad, would go the way of Labor under Jeremy Corbyn. And here she is smearing Jeremy Corbyn, continuing to smear Jeremy Corbyn as an anti-Semitic. That question now seems tragically parochial. The world has gone Corbyn. Yo, this is crazy how they smear him, bro. Look online. When Andrew Yang, the frontrunner in the New York mayoral race, tweeted on Monday, "I'm standing with the people of Israel," AOC rallied the online hordes. The anodyne statement was, she said, utterly shameful, and the pile on ensued by Wednesday. Yang had all but apologized. The ratio is the new veto. How pathetic. No, Barry, this is pathetic. But I don't expect more from you. So, it turns out America didn't need a Corbyn. We just needed a Twitter, and a few feckless demagogues in Congress. And now, yeah, like Tom Cotton insinuating that the Associated Press, who constantly capitulates to Israel, is somehow in bed with Hamas. but Tom Cotton's not a demagogue. She would actually agree. She agrees with Tom Cotton. Bari Weiss agrees with Tom Cotton. And now supporters of Israel, including many Jews, are so scared of getting bullied online that they've just decided to sit in silence, hoping the lies will dissipate on their own. So that was Bari Weiss's shitty article, man. She put a lot of bullshit in there, a lot of things that's easily debunkable that you guys know. But I just figured I'd share that just to shit on Bari Weiss. I was feeling in a shit on somebody mood today. I know it's easy hanging fruit. It's basically like critiquing like Tom Cotton, basically But it's like I felt like this has to be talked about because it's like these people believe this shit. You feel me? And you have Americans that believe this shit, and it's crazy, dog. It's crazy, like. Palestinians don't have the right to defend themselves because, they're Islamic. I would say it's more so because of the Islamic faith and is Islamophobia that goes around. And no, I'm a person, I'm heavily critical of Islam. I am heavily critical of Islam. Like I've been called an Islamophobe sometimes because of my views on Islam. But my thing is I don't play the game of saying Islam is worse than Christianity or Christianity is worse. I think they're all shit, in my opinion. If you're Islam, if you practice the Islam faith and everything, I'm not trying to offend you. This is my belief though. This is my, personal belief. As I guess I'm agnostic because I'm not complete atheist. You feel me? Like I don't believe there's no God. I do believe in a higher power. I just believe that I believe the aliens made us. It's like, nah, I believe there's a higher power, just the way, human beings have determined to view spirituality and God is just like dogmatic as fuck. Speaking of dogma, you guys should check out Kevin Smith's Dogma. That movie. But yeah, so all these religions are dog shit, but like you get a lot of, and it always comes from white people. You'll have I've heard a couple of black people talk about it in this sense, but it's always white people that try to play this game. Well, Christianity didn't do this, Islam, like, bro, come on, stop it, bro. All these religions, have had storied, bloody histories. To try and pretend that wasn't is complete bullshit. So it's like, I don't know, man. It's insane. The fact of the matter is that these people are being oppressed in their own land. Even in the little strips of land that they give them, they still treat them like second, like not even so. The Arab Israelis, the people that actually live in Israel, not the Palestinian territories, but Arabs that actually live in Israel are treated like second-class citizens. People in Gaza and the West Bank are literally like, it's no word to describe the hell on earth that they experience, especially in Gaza, like where literally you never know when a bomb's going to drop and kill your whole family. That's like, that would make me want to shoot a rocket at somebody. Real shit. I don't need Allah to tell me to shoot a rocket at you. Like, it's kind of like, I forgot, it's like the Russian bounty story. Like, oh, Russia's paying the Taliban to kill American soldiers. Ooh, like, they don't need to be paid to kill American soldiers. Just like these niggas, like, they don't need Allah to kill you. It's just another reason why to do it. The main reason is that, yo, you dropped a bomb on my house last week that killed my wife and daughter. Fuck you, I'm shooting a rocket at you. And like Norman Finkelstein said, Stein, I don't know if it's Stein or Stein, said that you want to go out to the disco? No, sorry, you can't. Yo, you're gonna have to deal with us. Sorry, bud. And that's just what it is, man. So I've been going on. That was a long video. I wasn't expecting it to be that long, but to decipher the stupidity and fuckery that is Bari Weiss, man, it takes a long time. So probably won't be covering Bari Weiss on the show again because she's got me exhausted already. So. But thanks for tuning in, guys. If you're on YouTube, like, comment, subscribe, and share. Emphasis on all that, because y'all know the CEO of YouTube already said they like to keep independent media like me down. So definitely show love, show out, and show love. You already know. Odyssey, y'all always show out and show love. Thank you. I appreciate it. Much love to y'all. as y'all see in the link below, there's a Patreon link down there and everything. I'm going to be posting. So I actually finished an article today. Yes, I did. I finished the article today, like the rough copy. I'm going to go through it, rewrite it. It should be up by Friday on the Patreon. It's an interesting piece. It's kind of weird because I feel like it was kind of giving into the culture war, but I don't know. I was just feeling it. Like a lot of my pieces that I'm going to be writing are just like shit I feel. Sometimes it just might be random shit. I don't know. But it's not going to be behind a paywall or anything. Like I'm like the Patreon is, if you want to donate to help contribute to the show, you do that. But the Patreon is just there right now in terms of until I get my website going. I'm planning on doing a website, and my guy High Media is allowing me to post on his website as well. So, but the Patreon is going to be on there. I'm going to be posting some other things on there, like music and shit. I'm actually working on music for American Autopsy, like doing more political rap with American Autopsy, because my other rap isn't necessarily political. I talk, I don't talk bullshit fuckery like a lot of these niggas. Like, yeah, popping this in the perk. I'm like, yeah, fucking yo, but like I talk that sometimes, but that's not the majority. I have substance in my music. I'll say that. So I listen to artists like Kendrick Cole. So Big Sean, Drake. They're my inspirations. Jay-Z. So I do put substance in my music, but I'm gonna put the more politically charged stuff on the Patreon. See what y'all think about it, like freestyles and songs and shit. So look out for that, definitely. And yeah, I'm gonna close it out there. Thanks for tuning in. Peace.